Hello there, welcome to Stats. I've updated the stats to incorporate all the results over November that I could get. I'm still struggling with Longshanks. It won't seem to let me pay. So if anybody knows anybody at Longshanks, I don't know what the issue is, but like PayPal is just not working for some reason, which is how I'd rather do it. But I'm a bit. That's a bit frustrating, really. I'm not annoyed. It's just a bit frustrating. Um, and New recruit. There were a couple of tournaments. However, it doesn't really tell you what the factions are, so I can't really. It's quite. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard actually just to get the data. Once you've got the data, manipulating it is actually quite easy. But it's just getting the data that's the problem. Um, yeah. Anyway, I guess these companies invest a lot of time in the databases, so they want to keep their own data to an extent, but they could make it a bit easier for us. Right. Without further ado, let's go to the individuals. So, I've reworked the war score a little bit to incorporate a fixed integer. Integer? No, a fixed arbitrary sum of zero point 0.1 per event. So essentially, that adds popularity into like the war score for factions, and I've also incorporated win percentage because of some data was getting a bit skewed by that. So I've updated the war score to reflect that as well. Um, Phil Carl is still top. Luna probably should be, but she went to a few events that I can't get the data for, which I think she won both. So, but this is based on available data. So Phil is still top, although Luna probably should be. Jack Allen is still down there in third. Richie Amphlett, who's been to quite a few tournaments recently, been doing very well with dwarves, and we'll see that in the data later. Has been Shane Hall. I don't know. He's North America. Oh, he's been to a tournament in New York, a few in Canada. I don't know why I've separated out Ontario and taken mostly. I've taken some ogres and then some exiles. Okay, interesting. So that's Shane. Um, Ed Fawcett is of 6++. He's been rocking Skaven recently, trying to prove that they're not terrible. But this is where we are in terms of individuals. So well done to those people at the top. It's a lot of work to go to all these tournaments. So, um, is that right? Yeah, 9 would be 45, wouldn't it? If they're all 5 game tournaments. So there's been a few where, yeah, cool. So, popularity chart. Now, the big news is we've got sub factions now, so I've started to separate out the sub factions, which makes this chart particularly messy. Some people say they can't really see the data, but in essence, you've got this is ordered by essentially their composite war score. So it essentially reflects like recency of use, positioning in tournaments mostly, a bit of win percentage, but win percentage isn't the be all and end all, and a bit of like an arbitrary sum. I need to. I think I need to change that a little bit, don't I? But anyway, that's where we are at the moment. Win percentage wise, Heralds of Darkness are here in terms of the best composite war score. Just to explain this chart before we have a look at some details. Essentially, the bar represents the average, and the whiskers. So this is called the box and whiskers plot. So the bar or the box represents the win percentage, and the whiskers represent essentially the standard deviation, one way or another. So it shows like the variability of results to an extent. So essentially, roughly 2/3 of results fall within this. So this range is what we would call the normal range for a faction. We'll look at extremes of data later, but this is like looking at the normal. And as you can see, Heralds of Darkness, there's only been one entry. with Heralds of Darkness. There's been a few with Royal Clan. This is Richie Amphlett is skewing the data here because he's taken Royal Clan a few times and has done very well with it. Errantry Crusade, there's been quite a few entries. Exiles. None of these sub factions have really got enough data to sort of say that there's a pattern going on here. So Tomb Kings are essentially still the highest ranked classic faction, as it were. And then Bretonnia, Vampire Counts, Warriors of Chaos, and then High Elves are the better like core factions, as it were. Not considering sub factions. The good news is that the sub factions really are doing a lot better than or in general doing a lot better. Apart from Royal Host, which are down here, they've only entered. There's only been one tournament entry with Royal Host. Oh no, that's not true. There's been a couple, hasn't there? With Royal Host, and they've not done massively well. Poor old Skaven are still like right down the bottom. So. Yeah, the interesting thing here, though, is Nomadic War is doing very well. And again, this is tentative at the moment because there's not a lot of data. But Nomadic War seem to be doing very well and also reliably so as well. So they reliably get good results. I think they're the only faction in the game that normally win 2 out of 3 games at a 3-game tournament. So they're quite an interesting faction from a data perspective. The win percentage over time that we see here, we see Warriors of Chaos. Is that Warriors of Chaos? Or is that... Yeah, so that's High Elf. So Warriors of Chaos we see have had a pretty good... Oh, hold on a minute. That's October. Where's November? Why have we not got any November stats? Okie dokie. We've got a load of tournaments in November, I thought. Yeah. Why isn't that? I don't know why that's not. There's no filter there, is there? Okay, I don't know why that chart's not working in particular. Okay, so we can't use that chart for some reason. I need to go and have a look at that. Rank percentile. This is essentially where factions are finishing in tournaments. Troll Horde, it's normal for Troll Horde to win tournaments when they enter, which shows that there's not enough results really to do these kind of parametric tests. So that's obviously nonsense. But based on the current level of data, Troll Horde are occasionally doing very, very well. But yeah, parametric testing isn't really possible when there's less than I don't know. When there's less than 30 results, it's very weak. When you get somewhere between like 30 to 200, it's you can sort of do parametric tests, but take it with a pinch of salt. Once you get 3 to 500, you can kind of say that the tests are that these kinds of stats are fairly good, and then once you've got over 500 results, then you can say the results are pretty conclusive. So you see here, like popularity wise, Kingdom of Bretonnia have been taken 345 times, for instance. So there's a lot of stats here, which is like, take it with a pinch of salt. Orcs and Goblins, Kingdom of Bretonnia, Warriors of Chaos, they've been taken over 300 times. I'd be pretty confident in saying that these parametric tests are correct. So what I mean by that is, if you look at Tomb Kings, if you go to a tournament, you shouldn't really use these kind of tests in a predictive fashion. They're always backward looking. However, you can kind of draw conclusions that says essentially that Tomb Kings have so far more or less won most of the games, and at a 4-game tournament, it has been so far pretty normal for them to win 4 out of 5 at a 5-game tournament. So Tomb Kings are, I think, of all the factions, probably top of the meta. What's interesting is Mortuary Cult are below Tomb Kings, which is interesting because you've seen a lot of Mortuary Cult players winning tournaments, which suggests, and I don't really look down the rosters typically, so that suggests that there's a lot of Mortuary Cult players that just aren't doing very well. I thought Mortuary Cult was a bit of a cheat code for Khemri, but it seems like not. It seems my kind of initial impressions, based on looking at the people who are at the top of the tournaments, are wrong. And this is why we test data and we look at data, because actually you can look at something on a superficial basis and then you actually look at the bigger data and find out, well, actually that's just wrong. So if you look at podium results, they don't really give you an idea about what factions are actually doing better. Cool. Apart from this chart, which is like the all or nothing chart. So basically how this works is the blue is essentially where people have turned up to tournaments and not won a single game. The green is where they've won all the games, so 100% win rate with those. So for instance, Skaven, 80-something% of times that they've been taken, they've won all their games, and 7% of the time that they've been taken, they've lost all their games, which is interesting. Yeah, so if you're Skaven, again, they're not predictive. You can't really predictively say anything, but you can say that roughly 1 in 3 Skaven players so far have lost all their games. There's only Mortuary Cult players. Nobody's actually won all their games with Mortuary Cult, which is, interesting. Now, I say that. I think the other problem that we have is that stuff like Best Coast Pairings and New Recruit and all the rest, they only started recording sub-factions recently. So I think when looking at lists, there have been a lot of Mortuary Cult lists that have been winning tournaments, but they're not Mortuary Cult. They're still in the Tomb Kings data because they weren't like an available faction for people to choose when registering with stuff like that. But we're starting to see sub-factions being part of the options, so we'll get more reliable data on those as time goes on. Errantry Crusade has done pretty well, and Bretonnian Exiles have done pretty well. And I'm not massively surprised because they are pretty strong lists, or the lists that you can build with them are pretty strong. So, all or nothing. I'll just zoom in a little bit so people can see. Again, Heralds of Darkness. I think that one person's turned up to a tournament and won 4 out of 5 games, and I think came 2nd or 3rd in the tournament. So they're It's a bit of a lazy faction to me, but, it's probably quite effective, to be honest, because it's all mounted, so it's going to be quick. You can stick dragons in it, It's a good thing to do a triple dragon list with, I think, so. Yas. So that's that. That's the data. So, again, going back to the individuals, well done to Phil and Luna, Jack, Richie, Shane, Ed, Zach, Tom, Matt, Mike, Adam, Christian, and all the others for turning up to loads of tournaments and playing some really good Warhammer and getting that war score up. So well done. Cool. So that's the data. So if that's all you wanted, like and subscribe and all the rest, and I'll catch you on the next one. However, now we're going to do what I usually do on a Wednesday and look at some tournament results. The lights just flicked on and off. Okay. So, over the... did we do that? Yeah, we did that last weekend. Oh, yeah, there were some factions where I had to clean the data a little bit. I think that one... Yeah, this one was last weekend. HeroCon 2024, which took place in Australia. General Bridges Drive. Looks a bit Australian, doesn't it? Yeah, that grass has seen better days. So it's somewhere around here. And congratulations are due to Jason, Scott Veach, I know that name from somewhere, and Ben for getting the top 3. We've got Chaos Dwarf win, Team Kings coming in 2nd, and Ben with his Warriors of Chaos in 3rd. 18 people in this tournament, so 5 gamer. Jason has no list submitted. Scott, Ben. Oh, it's the bloody unbelievable. It's the guy with the Chaos Dwarves who's not put his list up. Oh well. Tomb Kings, we've got a classic Tomb King build. We've got a king on foot, which is interesting. We've got High Priest with a flying carpet. So no dragon in this list. We've got some big blocks of infantry in the form of Tomb Guard and Skeleton Warriors. We've got a little unit of chariots, some archers to do archery things, Scream Skull Catapult, Casket, Necrosphinx. Huh, that's a pretty cool list actually. He's got little bits of everything apart from a dragon. So he's gone for like a really balanced list that can do a bit of everything. Yeah, only having a single Tomb Scorpion, a single one of these sorts of stuff. So it's quite a balanced list. It's suboptimal in terms of tournament wise. So well done, Scott, for wielding it and getting the win. There's nothing. The Mortuary Priest has the Amulet of the Serpent, so that's the poisoned attacks thing, which is interesting because I don't know where you'd put it. Because that's not a massive block of archers, really. Sometimes you see like a huge block of like 40 archers and somebody with giving them all poisoned attacks or whatever. But pretty good. And then Foreskin and Bros, Ben's list. We've got a Nurgle Dragon, Ogre Blade, blah blah blah. We've got a Sorcerer Lord Tzeentch, Chaos Steed, blah blah blah. These are two pretty standard character builds. He's got a big chunk of Forsaken of Khorne, some Warhounds, some Knights of Khorne, Sensible, some Dragon Ogres, Giant Spawn. Yeah, that's a pretty solid list. Yeah, yeah, pretty solid, good list. Well done, Ben. Then we had a mustering of arms over in Leeds. That's the sort of Viking name for Leeds, Lerdis, which is a bit like Jorvik. Oh, I couldn't roll my R then. Jorvik, which was the like Viking name for York, and they're the only two I know. Are they? I did used to know what they used to call Newcastle, but it's gone. Anyway, Warwick of Durham Raiders managed to win it. He's won a few tournaments, I think. Then we've got Nick and John. So John came third with... Came second with Empire. Oh, okay. So Nick came third with the Tomb Kings. He's got level 4 priest on foot, level 4 priest on foot. Then we've got a mortuary priest. No hieratic jar, which is interesting. That's the one that allows you to do the arise, which is like the resurrection ability twice in one turn. So that's quite interesting. We've got a load of skirmishers, a load of horse archers, a load of bow shabty. There's a lot of firepower coming out of this. Just not massively impactful firepower, but like chip damage firepower. Then we've got some bow shabty, more bow shabty, a couple of Tomb Scorpions, a couple of caskets, and a Necrosphinx. Yeah, that's a pretty solid list. I mean, it's a mortuary cult list as well. There's no dragon, which it probably doesn't need. With the Necrosphinx can like hold stuff up and let the Tomb Scorpions get in position to kill it. Yeah. But then again, I'm not sure how this list will actually deal with the dragon. Interesting. Perhaps he never played one. Played Henry Stocks Fryer. No, he never played against a dragon, so he never had to deal with that problem. I think if he'd have come up against a list with a dragon, he might have struggled a little bit. But cool. Although he did beat an Exiles list, and Exiles are pretty strong. Then who won? John Kerr came second with Empire, so this is worth looking at. We've got a general on a griffin with the bedazzling helm. Now then, I'm not sure about this list because I thought the bedazzling helm was now infantry and cavalry only, so you can't take it on monsters. Don't quote me, but I think that's how it's. They've changed that a little bit. Then we've got Electron and War Altar, Captain, pretty standard build there. We've got some veteran state troops. We've got 2 veteran state troops. I thought you could only take one. Veteran state troops. I don't think this is going to be his final list. I'm pretty certain that's wrong as well. Grand Army composition. Let's look together. Oh, 1 year. Oh, per 1,000. Okay, that's fine. Cool. And then Bedazzling Helm. That will be rulebook errata. Yeah, infantry or cavalry only. So that can't have that. But anyway, because it's an Imperial Griffin and therefore is a it's just a monster, isn't it? I don't think it's a behemoth. Then we've got some Inner Circle Knights, Great Cannon, Outrider, Steam Tank. There's nothing in that list that really sort of stands out as being amazing. Yeah, I don't know. John's obviously just a very good player because I'm not sure how that's done so well, to be honest. And then did Nick? Who's Nick? He won the other one. And then Warwick managed to win it with Vampire Counts. He's got a Mortis engine, Necro, Necro, Necro. No Sceptre of de Noiro, which you probably don't need with all of that summoning, really. And then he's got 2 Terrorgeist, 2 Banshees, and a Mortis engine. So he's got 5 Screams, he's got a ton of zombies. This is a horrible list to play through. It's a well-designed list, in that it will obviously do quite well, but it's a pretty horrible list to play against. Lots of negative play experience here. So the Sonic Temple, yeah, it is. That's a really good name for it. Yeah, I'm actually a massive fan of limiting like Lord level characters. I think that the game, as it stands, allows them to like overpower games. So I'd like to go back to, I think it was 6th, was it? Where you had like 1 Lord in a 2,000 point army and then like unlimited heroes. So Lords were basically, well, they were the Lord level characters and like the Wizard Lord level characters. So you could only have one of those. You know, and I prefer that to be like 1 per 2,000 points or something like that for Lord level characters. I wish they'd go back to that. And I think we're seeing that in like a GW event in January where they're limiting it to 1 level 4 wizard, which is, I don't, because like you can have multiple level 3. Then I think they've realised they've cocked up a little bit, and that's where we'll end up really, because that worked quite well. Because you know that then you're choosing between taking like a Lord level wizard or a Lord for combat, and you can't choose both. It would stuff over factions like Orcs and Goblins, because Orcs and Goblins kind of rely on having like a war boss on a Wyvern and a couple of level 4 Goblins to like dominate the magic phase, but or to try to anyway. Which makes up for all their units having terrible leadership. But yeah, anyway, well done to those chaps. Then we had Darkfire Cafe, which is in London. Andrew Chant took an Errandry Crusade, came second. Edward Adlard took some Exiles and beat the Crusaders, and Max Eves took Team Kings, didn't he? Oh, Vampire Counts, sorry. Took Vampire Counts. So, the Errantry Crusade list, Paladin, blah, 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 Duke, pretty standard. Level 4 Prophetess. Sword of the Stout-Hearted, that's interesting. You don't see that very often. And Crusaders, Clarion, and Illusion. I don't know what any of those do. They sound like they're in the new thing, really. But what was it? Sword of the Stout-Hearted and Crusaders Clarion. Yeah. Yeah, it's in the Arcane Journal. There. So stout-hearted, strength. Okay. Make immune psychology. Maybe that's why. And Crusaders Clarion. And on the turn in which the bearer charged the mount, and all of their mounts get +1 strength. I mean, that's okay. And then he's got the Falconhorn with the Paladin. We got some Errant Knights. I have to take 2 units in a 2k list. He's got a lot of Errant Knights, actually. He's gone heavy with Errant Knights. Little unit of Pilgrims with the Grail Reliquary. Again, I'm not really certain why that's there. Then he's got some Squires, and then 2 little units of... No Pegasus Knights. No Pegasus Knights, but he's got 2 little bullets of Grail Knights as well. Which, again, I'm not... This is... I don't know how he's done so well with this list, to be honest. I don't really understand where the value is. I mean, he spent a lot of points on a lot of models, but, like, they're not the best. Interesting. So well done. Oh, what was his name? Well done, Andrew, because that's not a fantastic list, and you've done very well with it. So well done. Edward Adlard came second with Exiles. He's got a Baron with the Barony stuff. He's got another Baron with the Frontier Axe, which is the one that does, I think it's like Strength +3 or something. It's pretty nasty. Or AP3 or something. It's like a great axe with like more rules. Then we've got an Outcast Wizard to be like the level 3. And 2 Bombards and 6 Pegasus Knights. So this is kind of where the value is, and then he's got a load of stuff to pay core tax, effectively. So that's that. And then Max E's managed to win it with a level 4 Master Necromancer, 2 Mortis Engines, no Terrorgeists, but 10 Blood Knights. So 10 Blood... Oh, that's just horrible. Because like 10 Blood Knights with two of these behind, like they can resurrect 4 a turn each. So... or it might be 4 + 1, so maybe 5 a turn each. So pretty much that entire unit comes back every turn. And it's got a 2+ save and a 6+ inbuilt regen. So that's pretty nasty. That's pretty nasty. Yeah. Yeah, that's a negative play experience sort of list, but well done, well done. It's not just writing the list, you've got to turn up and play with it, so yeah, that's good. Then we have Winter War 2024, which took place, I think is the first tournament in Scotland. So Jamie Ferguson managed to win with the Royal Clan, congratulations to him. Pasha Kornienko came second, and Grieg Summers came third. I don't know who I haven't got. Jamie, Pasha... I didn't open Grieg for some reason. List unsubmitted, that's why. So, well done, Grieg. But Pasha came second with High Elves. We've got an Archmage on a Dragon. We've got a Handmaiden. We've got another Archmage who's a Sea Guard. Got another Mage. So there's quite a lot of magic here. 21 Sisters. There's a lot of horrible shooting, therefore. Loads more shooting. Laverne Skycutters. More sisters, more sisters. Oh my god. And he's gone mages so that Handmaiden can be the general, because then they're all leadership 8 or 9 or something. Because your general's got to be the model with the highest leadership. Yeah, this is a horrible shooting list with lots of magic shooting and lots of actual shooting, and that's going to be quite difficult. I mean, once you get into it, you're just going to chew through it, but still. Well, I say that. There is a dragon. I mean, you know, they're quite difficult to chew through. Cool. And then Jamie managed to win with this particular list, I believe. A Royal Clan, so we've got an Anvil, we've got a Runesmith, nothing special, and that's it for characters, which is interesting. Then we've got some Longbeards, a cart. So essentially we can do the thing with the Anvil where the cart makes these Longbeards like movement 4. We then put them into marching colour. March them therefore 12 inches down the table because they've now got movement 4 because of the dwarf cart. So you can march them 12 inches and then use the anvil to cast a bound spell that makes them move again, so that you can use drill to reform back into fighting ranks and move another 8. So you can punt them 20 inches down the table and really screw your opponent's day. And he's got a couple of Doom Seekers and some Iron Drakes. Iron Drakes are, absolutely fantastic. 18 Iron Drakes is a lot, but they always get to stand and shoot, and they're absolutely devastating when they do. So they're quite difficult to deal with too. And then also they're still, they've still got full plate armor. So there is an anvil bound spell that can make them 3+ rerolling fails. So they're still, and they're also toughness 4 being dwarves, so they're really tough. I love Iron Drakes. I think they're great. So this is a good list. Well done, Jamie, for writing a really good list and for employing it properly. And then finally, we've got the winter. This video has gone really quickly, hasn't it? And then finally, we've got the Winter Wasteland Open video, where the Hammers of Uranus came 3rd and 2nd. Under Darren Schwartzman and Scott Freeman, and Isaac Archie came first. Where was it? Arizona. Yeah. So, I said placings. Oh, sorry. Darren came 3rd, and then Scott. So Darren came 3rd with his Expeditionary Force list. We've got Smith, we've got Burlock, we've got another engineer, we've got a Thane. No sappers, which is interesting. Do you think they're not that good? I think they're quite good. But anyway, Thunderers, Rangers, Cannon, Bridge Thrower, Bolt Thrower, and 4 Gyros, which is, the money choice really, and then a couple of organ guns, which organ guns appear to have waned in popularity, but I still think they're very good. And then we've got Scott Freeman, who came 2nd with High Elves. Well done for doing that, because High Elves aren't an easy faction to win tournaments with or get good results at tournaments with. They're a good faction to get safe-ish, mid-table points, but they don't normally compete for the top spot very often. Anyway, you've got an Archmage in a Line Chariot, which is interesting. Cool model, terrible rules. Then you've got an Archmage in a Sky Cutter and a Noble on a Dragon. So they're all mounted on something a bit unusual, which is quite cool. Then we've got some Reavers and some Silver Helms to just pay the core tax, basically. We've got some Dragon Princes, which are interesting, difficult to wield, and some Sisters of Avalon and a Great Eagle Fantic War machines. Overall, a fairly balanced list. There's nothing that kind of leaps out as being a big store of points. There's no there's no massive unit of Iron Breakers, for instance, where you kind of get the sense that's going to do a lot of the work today. And then Vampire Counts won. Yes, Isaac won with Vampire Counts. So we've got an actual vampire in there rather than a load of necromancers, and then a master necromancer with a Sceptre of Denaro, blah blah blah. Some skellies, some graveguard, no zombies, which is quite interesting, and then a couple of units of blood knights that he's separated out. So yeah, good army. Poor me. Right, so that's all the tournaments, and that's all the data. So thanks for watching. I guess it's been a very short video, only half an hour, but there's not been that much to talk about really. We do need some more results to come in, really. I do need to organise my own tournament at some point, and it's just difficult to fit that in amongst everything else, and being a dad and all the rest. But yeah, anyway, I hope that's been useful. Like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I normally say something different, but I don't like catchphrases, so screw you, and I'll see you again soon. Toodaloo.